This is a Hideaki Anno film. This is a Shinji Higuchi film. 2016 Shin Godzilla marks the first time both filmmakers shared directorial duties on a project. Anno largely handling the story while Higuchi was in charge of special effects. Despite this, there tends to be some confusion as to who exactly did what, to the point where Anno is usually the one who receives all the credit for the film, such is the case with 2022's Shin Ultraman, which he only wrote and produced, as well as the Studio Ghibli short Giant God Warrior Appears in Tokyo. But what's the difference, you may ask? How does one sparse two styles from one another? In this breakdown, I will examine select works from these directors and highlight certain stylistic methods that set them apart from each other, in hopes to develop a deeper understanding of their philosophies and approach to filmmaking. Outside of their comfort zones in animation and tokusatsu, Anno and Higuchi tap into their storytelling niches with 2000's Ritual and 2012's The Floating Castle respectively. Whereas Ritual is a very contained and subdued character drama, The Floating Castle, co-directed by Isshin Inuro, is a large-scale war epic. Having worked on Evangelion, Anno's ability to express human connection is amplified by the likes of Ayako Fujitani's phenomenal performance in Ritual. The struggles and trauma she endures throughout the picture feels very real and is honestly Anno's greatest example of his character writing, even if Fujitani herself was involved, given how the film is based on her personal work and life. On the flip side, Higuchi's sense of theatrics from his tokusatsu background would end up shining in The Floating Castle, which the eccentric Mansai Nomura perfectly supplements given his experience as a theater performer. Nomura as Nagachika Narita is a very animated and charismatic lead, much like the kind you'd see in theater. This is further enhanced by Isshin Inuro's input in how he depicts drama. As we can see, Anno obviously opts for a more humanistic approach when building characters, while Higuchi aims for dramaticism. Anno wants his characters to become intimate for the viewer, while Higuchi wants his characters to invite them for a grand story. Coincidentally, Anno and Higuchi have both directed live-action adaptations of popular manga, Anno's Cutie Honey from 2004 and Higuchi's Attack on Titan duology from 2015. This will be interesting, as Anno primarily has a background in animation, while Higuchi, who's no stranger to animation I should add, is more toku-based. Here, they both adopt animation techniques and philosophies and incorporate them into the world of live-action cinema. How do they stack up? In Cutie Honey, Anno tries changing things up by going for something a lot more hyper-stylized in an attempt to replicate the look of anime with some minor touches of tokusatsu through heavy amounts of green screen and compositing. However, as you can see, the result leaves more to be desired. Obviously, when done right, animation practices being translated to live action can be astonishing. But here, it feels more like an imitation of the series this is supposed to be based on. It's hard to say whether there's a sense of passion behind these moments, which isn't helped by how even the script on its own does come across as half-baked. This is disappointing, as one of Anno's defining creative repetitions are characters who are both alluring and relatively nuanced. In this movie, you have really no reason to root for Honey. In fact, she is very one-dimensional, despite her mannerisms in other Cutie Honey media. The fact that Anno did this after such a beautiful film like Ritual is a little saddening. 11 years later, in Attack on Titan, Higuchi reimagines a whole new world. While not as fantastical as the anime, Higuchi retains the sense of both wonder and horror that it's famous for, with sprawling wide shots, angles that make these giants all the more menacing, and overall, dynamic camera work that is done to elevate the sheer scope of the world building. This, paired with Higuchi's liking for dramaticism, makes this epic something that feels larger than life quite effectively, to where it truly feels like live-action manga, as opposed to just looking like live-action manga. Notably, select iconic moments from the manga aren't only adapted, they're adapted in a way that makes them feel more genuine and exciting. Higuchi is playing hard into his strengths as seen in the floating castle. After all, what would you expect from the special effects director of Shusuke Kaneko's Gamera trilogy? Not to mention, while Higuchi's character work is limited, they still carry a sense of theatricality with how animated they are that makes the drama all the more endearing and surprisingly engaging. And that's the thing. Cutie Honey isn't really interested in trying to take advantage of its medium and the source material, making something with heart and meaning. Whereas Attack on Titan wants to immerse the viewer in its world and characters through these methods. Obviously, there is an 11-year gap between these films, so my assessment may be a little unfair, and by no means is it to suggest that Anno hasn't grown since. But hey, there's been much worse. We have Hideaki Anno with his approach for intimacy and exaggerated visuals, and Shinji Higuchi with his approach for awe and spectacle. Let's see how these quirks play into the two recent modernized reimaginings of Japan's most beloved superheroes. After the success of Shin Godzilla, Anno and Higuchi would pursue what is known as the Shin Japan Heroes universe, which includes 2022's Shin Ultraman followed by 2023's Shin Kamen Rider. But because we've been opening with Anno, let's start with Shin Kamen Rider. In many ways, Shin Kamen Rider feels like a return to form for Anno, incorporating lots of creative motifs from Evangelion, namely in regards to the film's lore, cinematography, and character work, for better or for worse. For me, unfortunately, it's the latter, as character arcs don't exactly feel whole, which is a shame because the movie proposes plenty of interesting themes and concepts rooted in human connection. In a story about androids learning what it means to truly be alive and the experiences that come with companionship and overcoming personal trauma. However, the issue that comes with Cutie Honey found its way here, in that there are times where the movie tries to do these one-to-one recreations of scenes from the original 1971 TV series, but with what appears to be a lack of understanding of the limitations Toei was working with and the technical capabilities that had brought creator Shotaro Ishinomori's vision to life. These scenes evoke a much different energy than they did before, and once again, feel like imitations for the sake of it. Once again, there's no attempt to properly take advantage of more than half a century's worth of technological development as a means to breathe new life into what the original Kamen Rider had to offer. However, I would be lying if I said that the acting in this film is anything short of great. The performance of Sosuke Ikematsu especially really sells what the movie is trying to say. As mentioned before, Shin Kamen Rider is meant to be human, and thankfully, being based on the ideas of Ishinomori, it succeeds, albeit awkwardly. Now onto Shin Ultraman. As opposed to strictly being a creator's own unique vision and take on the 1966 original, the film takes select plots from different episodes and weaves them together to form a narrative that not only evokes the feeling of watching a serialized television series, but like with what Higuchi did with Attack on Titan, elevate the visual flair and sense of wonder that comes with Ultraman, and the themes of devotion, perseverance, and, because Anno wrote it, humanism. This is complemented by both the character work of the SSSP and aliens, and the cinematography, which both are reminiscent to the work of famous Ultra series filmmaker Akio Jisoji. Much like how Shin Godzilla is structured the same as a film from the work of Kihachi Okamoto, namely Japan's Longest Day, here, Shin Ultraman possesses plenty of cues and callbacks to Jisoji's Ultra Q film Legend of the Stars. Here, there is a deep understanding of what made the original Ultraman series work to begin with on both a thematic and visual standpoint. The movie goes out of its way to show how truly timeless the message of Ultraman has become since its debut. Even in sequences where there's a one-to-one recreation of a particular fight scene, Higuchi used the evolution of filmmaking technology at his disposal to breathe new life into these moments, making them more grand than before. And even when the film is doing its own spin on certain plot points, they still come off as impactful. Interesting how two directors who are no stranger to collaborative efforts shine in their own unique ways, even when building pictures that share the same goal. So how do you know when you're watching a Hideaki Anno film, or a Shinji Higuchi film rather? Pay attention to the themes, the stylistic choices, the scale. It's an interesting case where two filmmakers do share things in common yet have very different methods. Here's a challenge. Next time you watch Shin Godzilla, try figuring out which scenes were directed by who. But what do you guys think of Anno and Higuchi as filmmakers? Do you agree with this assessment? Feel free to let me know down below. And with that said, thank you all for watching. Want to give a big shout out to my channel members, and if you guys like what you see, you can be one of the many generous people who support me on Patreon, where you can get early access to videos and exclusive content. Other than that, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care, everyone.